folks. Hello, and welcome to Monday evening, afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Techthusiasm Live podcast. What is this, 4 in a row? I think something on the order of that, 3, 4, 5 in a row. This time is working. So I think ultimately this is it. This is kind of a good, solid, regular time to be able to get on, connect live, hang out with folks, talk about some cool stuff, talk about our home theater, audio, video, tech hobbies, and have a little bit of fun. So this format, I think we'll be sticking with this format. I am hoping to get some other folks on the stream, hanging out with us, have some topics to talk about with some others still coming up. So we'll keep evolving as we go. But Mondays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, looks like it's going to be it. So sound off as you're coming in. Leave a chat there. Let me know who's out there, what's going on. Did you have a happy 4th of July weekend? We had a good time. We hung out with some friends from out of town. We hung out with my family on Friday, long, basically almost a full day kind of family barbecue kind of thing. Some kids' activities. Saturdays, more dinner out, hanging out with friends. A lot of friends, family time, all that stuff. Nice family day on Sunday. Tried a new awesome new pizza spot that opened up not too long ago in town here. Strolled through Barnes and Noble a little bit, and I had a great time. So I hope everybody had a good 4th. Back to work, of course, today. Got some more summer vacations and stuff coming up. Nothing too major, but a lot of things happening. July actually is kind of a chillish month for us, which is good. Nice to do that before more kids' activities and other things start to pick up in August. You can actually enjoy one down month, one relatively down month. So, hey, Julius, welcome. Good to see you. Hello. So in other news, one thing that I thought was pretty cool, and I've been trying to do for a while, is I finally was able to snag Techthusiasm.com. I was able to claim the domain rights and register Techthusiasm.com. Pretty cool. I've kind of been slumming it with the Techthusiasm.net here for a while. Originally, I put up jeremypyle.com, and then I could never get the Techthusiasm.com address. I don't know if it was like somebody was actually squatting it or whatever reason. It was sitting in somebody's registration list. And the best option that you could do to get a web domain that you don't own is to basically risk ponying up a bunch of money, like pay some fees, make a bid, and kind of like go into a bidding war, so to speak, or something to get it. So I said, I'm fine with that. I'll just take the techthusiasm.net. And then I got what I thought actually was a scam email going into the weekend that said, hey, we're some domain registration company. It wasn't like GoDaddy or whatever, but I think it was actually a legit company. And so they sent me a contact through the webpage contact form. And I was looking at it and I'm like, is this really legit? And then I looked actually I did a domain search at the company that does the actual website hosting that I pay for and where I had my other domains registered. And sure enough, techthusiasm.com was readily available. So $20 a year to register a domain. So I grabbed it. If you go to techthusiasm.com, it all punches through. jeremypyle.com, techthusiasm.net, techthusiasm.com, all basically do the same thing. They all refer to the same webpage, but still, it's cool to have the real one. Now I've been telling everybody, email me at jeremy@techthusiasm.net. I need to find out if I can email, like, register as well. I should be able to get an email registration for the .com as well, and get that set up. And because I always have to remind myself when I talk to people, okay, like .net, nobody thinks .net by default. So I think anybody going online and looking for me or looking for like this brand or the company is going to default to the .com. But now it'll be there. So that's pretty cool. So that was fun. Not really much to it. Just again, $20 to register the domain. Let's see what else. System updates. So system updates. I was able to get down here, and actually, I filmed 2 videos over the weekend. My son had a long robotics double class basically on Saturday, and my wife was with my daughter at her horseback riding thing, So I'm like, all right, this is it, Techthusiasm work day. And I filmed 2 videos, one of which we kind of touched on a little bit last week, but I think there were some questions about the Revelation seats, and I had some people in the comments asking about the Revelation seats, these home theater chairs that I've had in here for since about September of 2023. Actually, I think it's been actually. So what is that? A little more than 18 months, almost 20-ish months. 18 months sounds better, year and a half. But they're holding up great. So I wanted to do like an 18-month review, particularly because I've been around to a variety of people's home theaters or interacted with a bunch of folks. And seating is one of the things that kind of is, I think, cracks me up in this hobby. And I did it myself. I've put 2 generations of seats in my home theater, but there's always the eternal debate, I think, between couches and recliners, one. And everybody that has couches wants recliners, in my experience. I'm generalizing, but many people I find that have couches want recliners. Many people that have recliners jones for some positive aspect of the couches. So I started with the couches in here, and then of course we switched over to these. I prefer the recliners. I have no interest in going back to the couch. The family preferred the couch, my wife in particular, but that wasn't it was more my call, I guess, than hers. So sound off in the comments. Are you a couch, or you are you a theater seat kind of person in your room? But so that's one element of the debate. And then the other one that I see a lot is like nobody ever likes their chairs. And that includes people that I find are buying, like, I don't want to name names and brands or whatever, but let's just say some of the most popular popular seating brands that are out there. I was just over a guy's house a couple weeks back who had a major home theater seat brand, and it's like, yeah, the control thing fell off, and like this isn't working, and the material's not hanging up, not holding up, not really super it's not super happy with them. So but I can say after 18 slash like 20-ish months with these chairs, they're holding up really well. So I kind of filmed an 18-month review update out of all the use that they've gotten. There's literally one blemish in the material, and that's not a fault of the material or anything. It was just, I think, literally I or one of the other family members took the tray out that comes with these things, and tray comes with them and has the little post, and I think somebody missed the hole, so to speak, and pushed it into the material a little bit, and that had a little separation. But since it's black material, you can kind of see it in the color. But man, these feel great. They're supple. They're broken in nicely. You can tell the difference as well between the chair. We have 5 seats and 4 members in our family household, and everybody always sits in the same chairs. My kids always sit to my left together because they share popcorn bowls and whatever. My wife sits directly to my right. I sit in the middle. So the chair on the far right, nobody ever sits in the chair hardly to the one in the far right. And that one's much more firm. Not to say that the other ones are like getting squishy and soft. They're just broken in a little bit. They're comfortably broken in. And the other one is still more like kind of factory firm, so to speak. But I've had no issues with these things, no mechanical failures, knock on wood, no functional concerns. All the controls work on all the seats, all the lights work on all the seats, so we don't really ever use the lights, maybe just for pictures or to just kind of show off that they have them. One thing that I had never done, though, I've never done a wipe down, a full like kind of cleaning. I vacuum them out every once in a while, and I did that after I filmed the video. I cleaned them out. Quite a bit of popcorn in the seats, but they have the catcher between the upper and the lower section, so that's where the majority of it is. I did recline them all the way up, and then some stuff still falls kind of in between the edges of the catcher or whatnot. So they're pretty clean, all things considered. Just vacuumed up some popcorn underneath. My seat had the most popcorn in it. I don't know how that happens. I think the kids, when my kids and their friends are down here, somebody's sitting in my chair and getting popcorn in it. But I couldn't believe how much popcorn was in my catcher relative to my daughter that sits to my immediate left. I figured, and my son in particular, I figured their seats would have the most popcorn trapped in them, but somehow it was the middle seat. But I do not claim that to be my popcorn, so we'll never know. I guess we'll never know. So yeah, some interesting comments here. Flatbridge display welcome. Theater seats are universally ugly. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their opinions. he's got, I'm not sure what this means, a sectional. Sectional. What's a sectional exactly? Mia likes a couch. Yeah, a couch that reclines. Julius likes the seats. Only problem with my chair in the seating area is slightly sunken. Yep. Yep. Obviously, Julius spending some time in the theater. But yeah, these are bouncy. They're firm. So anyway, I'll probably publish that video on Thursday. Of course, if anybody is interested in buying these, this has been asked of me before. I don't sell them. These are like audio advice first. It's an audio advice first party product. They are a partner of mine. There's shopping affiliate links to their webpage and whatnot, and pretty much all my content, all my descriptions and stuff like that. So if anybody's interested in seats, you want to check out the Audio Advice Revelations, either just follow the links and go, if you would, use the affiliate stuff, go buy them there. And otherwise, you can always get in touch with me, and I can put you in touch with other people as well. So Jeremy at techthusiasm.net still on the email addresses. But do feel free to reach out. So Julius, every day he's sitting in his. Yeah. So I mean, we watch, I'd say on average a movie a week. He's probably get a movie a week, maybe sometimes 1 to 2 movies, or maybe 1.5 if you really average it out over the years. Flatbridge, brand name of a super flexible sectional counts, the sectional. Yeah, cool. I'll have to Google that and see what it is. Yeah, so that was cool. That was fun. And again, I'll probably publish that video with the live streams on Mondays. My goal is to get 1 live stream a week, Monday, 5 o'clock, and then at least get 1 edited video, like a full produced video, and then do that on Thursday. And then there's nice spacing, 3-4 days in between each piece of content, litter in some shorts and some community posts, and try to be kind of present and engaged, the majority of the week. So that one, I think the seating one will come first. So the other techie thing that I did was I did go ahead actually and update. I don't know if I can really show this off too much. Let me see. Let me at least find something that's not private. I don't believe we talked about this last week. Yeah, I did the OS 26 update on both my phone and my iPad following the OS 26 update to both of the Apple TVs. So I've been using OS 26 since last week, basically, for the last full week with the Apple TV. And again, I think it looks pretty good. I think there's more to it. There's more to Liquid Glass on the phone and the iPad than just things looking slightly different. You can definitely tell it looks different, like the way the icon groups look, the folders look, and some of the base like Apple app icons have a more passive, different kind of sheen to them. But like the phone app, Safari, there's quite a bit of like built-in Apple apps that have new types of navigation and more different types of pop-ups and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting. I didn't really play with the window multitasking and stuff that's come to the iPad. I'm pretty intrigued to try that out. But it's looking, this whole Liquid Glass and the things that are coming with it, I'm a little more bullish. I'll say I'm a little more bullish on it than I was after the keynote. During the keynote, it just felt like really like that's the whole thing that we're hanging a whole year's worth of software development on. But it actually is pretty nice to like the presentation and whatnot of the Apple devices, and it really does look sharp on the Apple TV, particularly if you put it in like HDR modes and running on a flat panel, nice bright flat panel. It has some extra pop to it. It makes it feel, it is more pleasing to the eye. Definitely was like struggling with a little bit of the navigational aspects of that they did in Safari, at least on the phone. Not so much on the iPad, but on the phone. I feel like getting to tab groups and some of that stuff is a lot more. There's more tabs, like more thing. I feel like more things were at your fingertips with the prior navigation than there is now. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm getting less and less visible real estate on my mobile devices as I have to increase the font sizes as well these days. So that's a bummer for navigating a small screen. But yeah, I'm pretty bullish. I don't think since we last spoke as well, last week's live stream when we actually looked at tvOS 26 a little bit on the directly here in the theater UI. There hasn't been another beta update to my knowledge. I did an update check, I think literally just yesterday on the Apple TV, and I didn't see any new software trigger or download. So the only one I haven't done then is my Mac. I haven't updated my Mac to the new version, but I'm considering it. So far, it's been pretty stable as well. Only a couple screwy things in a certain app or whatever, like didn't work in the dev beta after the update. I think that was more so on my iPad than my phone, if I recall correctly. But otherwise, for effectively whatever developer beta 2 or 3 of the very first release, it's been pretty stable. And I don't think that I've seen any failure modes on the Apple TV other than a little bit of that windowing we saw actually last week when we were demoing it together. So we're probably still maybe late July, early August, perhaps. I'd say probably late July before the public betas come out. Before they switch over from the developer beta to the public beta. They'll still run the developer betas on the cutting edge, but the public betas will also be available. So, but I can say if you want to check it out, I haven't had any troubles with it. So I had seen reports of some instabilities, but I haven't encountered any myself. So that's really been my tech fun kind of interaction with stuff this last week, the seats and then the software. I really need to do like a equipment inventory in my storage room in there and start kind of simplifying, reducing, getting rid of some things that I don't need and stuff like that. But we'll get to that soon. We did finish as well last night, and like our evening yesterday was kind of just like a chill family evening. Again, got some pizzas, walked the bookstore together, had some fun there, and then came home, ate our takeout, and then we finished up Miss Marvel. So we've been watching the Miss Marvel Disney Plus Marvel show, and I was not digging it certainly in the first couple of episodes, but it grew on me a little bit. I think it was certainly a little bit trite, maybe simplistic. But the girl that played Kamala, I think actually did a pretty decent job in the role, to the point where I endeared to her a little bit by the end of the 6th episode. And it was fine. I guess it was fine to set up the Marvels movie. We watched them backwards though, because we watched the Marvels movie some little while back, but we never had done the show. But it makes me interested as well to read a little bit of like some real world history, because they have a lot of kind of the undercurrent of the whole like India Pakistan breakup and the Brits kind of leaving India and whatnot. So I like when watching something that's fictional maybe inspires me to go look at something that's nonfiction, or some aspects of it, of course, some non-fictional elements of it, especially since I work with a lot and I know a lot of folks from India and whatnot. And world events where these two countries were essentially ready or were warring with each other just recently. We don't need to get political, but it does make me interested to go maybe just educate myself a little bit more about some world history and nations and whatnot. But again, the show was fine. I still wonder if we're setting up, or how much they're really setting up for new Avengers, or I'm sorry, not new Avengers, young Avengers, between Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, Kamala Khan, Ironheart's come in now. We still have the twins, Wanda's kids, so Wiccan and Speed. We'll see whether the Young Avengers element of the MCU gets actually realized, or whether it gets kind of just forgotten. Like I think a lot of things have been forgotten out of the MCU, like directional realignments and and maybe never be followed up on. But I am excited. I think we're going to watch Ironheart next. So dig into that. Definitely seen some mixed things about that show as well, but I think largely the sentiment on it is pretty strong. And I think it's interesting that they introduced like Parker Robbins, the Hood, is kind of a cool villain, and Mephisto as well, who's there's a lot of like comic book curious have been waiting for some presence of like of Mephisto to be in the MCU. He's basically like the devil of the Marvel universe, the comic book universe, introduced back all the way back like in the 60s even, in the comic books. So kind of curious to check that out and see what role they may play as we count down the days until Fantastic Four. Still debating still debating whether to go see Superman or not. But um, I don't know what our this coming weekend may entail. We'll be busy the following weekend, but if time allows, we may, I don't know, may go ahead and catch Superman at the commercial theater. Although I'm surprised, I kind of regret actually now going to see Thunderbolts because it already has been now available to watch on Kaleidoscape for about whatever it's been, I think 2 weeks already. So that didn't take long at all. Um, that didn't take long at all to show up. So we probably could have saved the $60 plus to go see that at the show and just bought it on Kaleidoscape for whatever it is, $25 instead, and then owned it because I'll probably end up buying it anyway just to have it in the library. But I was concerned that Thunderbolts wouldn't come out to watch at home before Fantastic Four came to the commercial cinema, and at a minimum, my son and I we're going to see Fantastic Four. Super excited for Fantastic Four. We've been reading a lot of FF lately. Just getting out of the original Stan Lee and Jack Kirby run. But if anybody's watched Ironheart, not spoiler list, but pop a comment in the chat or leave a comment reply. Let me know what you think about it. If you watch it, I think it should be 6 episodes, and I think they're all out now. So hopefully the show is over, or the debut of the episodes is over, and then hopefully we'll just binge it over the course of the next week and a half before we take our next little mini vacation. Cool. I'm going to take a pause here, answer a couple of questions. Of course, if you have any questions, do ask them. If I don't catch them right away, I will star them. I'll try to circle back to them, or if I don't, at certain moments, or definitely kind of bring them up one by one towards the end. If anybody wants to leave super chats, that's always just a thank you, always appreciated. And again, if anybody wants to follow up on anything or talk directly outside of the stream, feel free to email me or go through the webpage, techthusiasm.net or .com, and fill out the contact form and get in touch that way. LBMWM3, when do you think Anthem will change the new Anthem processor? I haven't heard anything about new Anthem equipment yet. I don't know if there's any kind of a rumor about such. Let's take a look. New Anthem rumor. Preamp. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. I think we still, my opinion, again, I'm not an Anthem dealer anyway. So I have no pre-knowledge. This is all just my conjecture and opinion. I'm not sure when exactly some of the devices how old they are. I think we're less than 5 years on some of the newer AVMs and stuff like that. My gut feeling is maybe next year. I don't think they need to release anything this year. Like literally, what would be the reason to refresh any of the MRX receivers or the AVM 70 or the 90? The quality is super high. Like the performance is great. In a refresh, maybe the 70 gets 4 subwoofers to compete with some other models, because 4 subwoofers is kind of the norm in a lot of processors and stuff nowadays. Maybe the top level receiver gets 4 subs as well, at least. But I mean, there's no new HDMI standard that they would need to add or look to be adding anytime soon. I doubt they need to change the amplifier section very much. Audio codecs and supports and stuff like that. Unless, I don't know, maybe if you're talking, maybe there's some fringe formats, but there's no mainstream formats that the box shouldn't be able to do. In fact, I do feel like firmware has slowed down even as well. I feel like I haven't updated my Anthem equipment in quite a while to a new software or firmware release, either for just fixes and improvements, stability improvements, or actual new features. I feel like that for a lot, actually, like a lot of firmware updatable. Maybe that's a topic for a future Monday. But I feel like a lot of devices that seemed to get updates pretty regularly are not really getting software updates very much anymore. So interesting thought there. But yeah, so my gut feel would be next year. I would also largely assume that this is a company that would announce stuff at CEDIA. So We'll know a lot more, I think, about what's coming or changing in home theater and home theater offerings within a couple of months now. So I think actually some companies, some products and stuff will be announced at Audio Vice Live. There were some new speakers and there were some new things. I think maybe even like some headphones or turntable stuff, some variety of things that were new product announcements at Audio Vice Live last year. And I would suspect they're looking to do that again this year. I think it helps to grow the cachet of the event, right? Give them like unique reasons and marketing value and interest and stuff for people to check it out and come. So we have that coming in a couple weeks, and then Cedia at the beginning of September. So that's where I would be looking for likely Anthem news if it were coming anytime soon. If we don't get anything then I would think we're a year away from any new models there. Julie asking, did you install your security cameras yourself? If so, did you run into any problems? Actually, I had Dan and one of his guys do it. They came over. Um, it's been a while now, almost 2 months ago, probably, and I just asked them to do it. We already had cat whatever pulled to the locations where the exterior cameras went in, and so they just crimped off the wires and put the jacks on them, and then installed the cameras. They don't normally install Ubiquiti stuff. I just asked them to do it while they were here in conjunction with like a punch list of a bunch of other techie things that they were doing in the house, like upgrading my Control 4 controller to the Core 5 from the EA5. And then Dan did a variety of other things. I still need them back. I really need to get them back because the job never got finished. There's programming, there's updates. I actually got so many people emailing me now or messaging me now about getting the big X4 update to their Control 4 systems, and I don't have that running in my system yet. So need to do that. Need to still revisit whether we're going to put any interior cameras in, and also I still have the light or the the doorbell sitting in the box, the two-piece doorbell, the doorbell button and the camera and the chime still sitting in the box. So, and then I need him to do some other programming help and whatnot in my system, set up oversee for my watt boxes and tie some of that stuff into the Control 4 system and whatnot. So, but I will say, like, looking at it, because I was hanging out with the guys while they were over here doing their stuff, they really weren't. I mean, it's not a hard install at all. Literally, you terminate the cable into a regular RJ45 style jack, feed that cable in, and it just plugs in to the port that's like inside the body of the camera. And then there's like a mounting ring or mounting plate, and then the camera kind of connects in to that via like some ring and locking mechanism. You angle it where you want it to shoot, and then the software side, I did all of the configuration and whatnot. They just did the physical connection. So no problems. Everything worked fine. There's one more spot outside where we could put another camera. I don't think I'm going to end up putting a camera there, so I got to go. Still have like the line hanging down out of our porch overhang. So I need to push the cable up and do something to block off the hole so we don't get like wasps and bugs and hornets or whatever flying in there and making nests. I'm surprised we haven't had a house full of hornets for these holes being cut in our underhangs for over a decade on this house before we actually put the cameras into the spots. But that last hole is in kind of a funky position where there's like two edges, like the corner meets and it's kind of beveled, and I don't think it's very flat. So I'm not even sure a camera plate would mount flush and actually work very well there. But in any case, that camera location shoots down a different side of our house. And if we put a camera there, we're going to basically be recording our neighbor's yard in conjunction with, I think the reason why we originally put that hole there was to look down on our egress window spot. So in case anybody ever wanted to try to mess with the house or climb down the well and mess with that window and try to get in there, we would be able to have visual recording of that location. But with these cameras and their field of view and everything, unless I could do something to restrict it in some way, I think it would kind of almost be an invasion of privacy for my neighbor, because the way our yard took up in the field of view I don't need to be recording into their yard and stuff like that. So it's just not as useful. It's just not as useful of a camera position as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, pretty straightforward. And we never did open and install the interior ones. So those were slightly different. Outside was like the cameras that are like the barrel cameras with the arm that you can direct and angle and all of that. The interior cameras were more dome style, like fixed, like a fixed pod with a dome. I presume they mount and stuff the same way. RJ45 jack inside, route it through the hole, put the panel up, attach the camera to the panel. But I don't I don't think we're going to end up doing those after all. Relative to the two spots that I actually know of where we have cable, that is one in the basement, one in the upstairs hallway. Um, where I had thought we had routed camera locations to be able to see the interior of our main entry doors on the main floor, and apparently we didn't do that. So I don't think those other locations are going to be all that valuable, and so I think I'm just going to push the cable that is dangling out, and even actually the way the drywallers, where they chose to bring the wire through the drywall is like asinine. I should take a picture, put it on the community forum. Like in the basement, if I recall correctly, they actually did it under the trim, on the wall under the trim, not like from through the ceiling with a couple inches of space away from the edge of the trim, so you could put a dome camera or camera up on the ceiling right there and see the whole basement area. It's on the freaking wall under the trim. So obviously they didn't even know what they were doing with that. And then I forget where the one upstairs is, but I think it's like right next to the trim, so it's like not even in any better of a position or a helpful position. So that's the kind of problems that that I have with the other camera locations. But I don't think I'm actually going to ever end up doing those cameras. We will probably just I'll probably just resell those 4 interior cameras and let it go. So let's see. A couple comments on the things we were just talking about. Yeah, Julius, Anthem AVM 70 was updated, months ago, 4 months ago. I just looked the other day to verify. I thought if there was a new firmware for the AVM 90. Not that I forget why I was looking. It wasn't really changing anything. But if I can just do this real quick. If I pull up the 90s page, I look at their downloads, and I look at the firmware change log. Now they don't have the dates here. Network module version 2.3.213, host firmware 80, improved Dolby Vision compatibility with some devices, fixed issue that could lead to audible distortion, other minor bug fixes and improvements. And I'm pretty sure this is not new. If I look at my actual AVM 90, the one Anthem device that I have that actually had been getting updates, 2.3.213. So yeah, I'm up to date. There's no update there. The one device that does actually seem to get updates, although it's been a little while now since I last did check this, is the MDX. But looks like the current version and the latest version of my MDX is the same. That's the distribution amplifier that they have. I'm pretty sure that these firmwares have been out for quite a while now. Let's see. Oh yeah, so Michael, yep, you can digitally block off non-recording zones from UI with UI cameras. Same type setup as how motion zones are defined. Okay, so yeah, I figured there was something like that. I didn't bother to go look for it. I figured that would probably be the case though. So that would be what I could do outside, and just do a digital block. Although I think I don't know, it still look funny. Like I'd probably have to tell my neighbor. They're cool, nice family and whatever. But it's like, all right, I'm not recording you. But still, it's weird if they're out in their backyard and they look over to our deck or our patio on the back of our house and like see this camera that it wouldn't be like facing them, but obviously the field of view would be covering them. But I think it is cool how you can draw the zones and the detection zones and stuff. I've already gone back and optimized my zones once because they're real sensitive. Like the front porch camera. We'll probably look at this actually in a future live stream. I could probably pull it up. We can go through some of the network stuff and the camera stuff. Um, but I shrunk my zones down because even just a little bit like of cars driving by the street, and then I also realized too that like I don't need detections when people walk by on the sidewalk. We have like a very what's the word? It's like an old style neighborhood, right? A downtowny neighborhood. There's always people out. There's always people walking. Like dozens of people in a day probably walk by our house that are in the neighborhood, walking their dogs, just out and about, that kind of stuff. So it's like it's a lot of detections to scroll through to see what I care about. Did somebody actually come up on the porch, right? And why did they do that? And what were they doing? So it's pretty cool in the Ubiquity settings and configuration how you can draw the zones and manage and stuff like that. So let's see. Yeah, Terminator. That's why I do all my own work whenever possible. Yep. Had bad experience paying professionals, started doing things myself. Yep. Yeah, there's just certain things that I don't want to do. I tell my wife all the time too. Like, as you get older, it's kind of like a Dave Ramseyism as well. There's two elements to it. One, time is limited, and sometimes it just makes sense to pay for stuff to be done and not spend the time doing it because I don't want to allocate my hours doing that because it's something that I just don't like or can't do, like yard work. I despise yard work. I absolutely cannot stand doing it. So my wife will like toil all spring long and into summer now. It's like still weeding and this stuff. It's like, can we please just hire this out like $1,000 and it'll all be done. Everything will be remulched, everything will be cleaned up. And I'm not half the spring. My face is dumping. I actually helped her do yard work for about 4 hours on a I forget when it was. It was a few weeks ago. And I came in just it was in the height of allergy season though. By the end of that 4 hours, like I couldn't even walk around. Like my nose is like literally just dumping snot out. It's ridiculous and disgusting. I'm like, I cannot do this. We either have to like spring cleanup in April before my allergies hit, or like, please, can we just hire this out? Like, I do not want to spend this time doing this stuff. Um, and then the other part of it for me is like, if I could, I could spend 4 hours on a weekend doing like more of those tasks, or yeah, or I can spend 4 hours like making videos and like so, I can make more money. I can make more economic opportunity spending 4 hours working on Techthusiasm than I and then paying somebody to do something menial than to do something menial myself. So let's see questions. Is there Terminator again? Is there really a big difference between the 70 and 90? Other than the two additional sub outs. So this is a matter of I guess opinion and conjecture and whatnot. I am in the camp that I think the 90 outperforms the 70 in audible quality. Um, I hate to say that, like, is it just the DAX or what is it? But something about it. Um, to me, I noticed a step function, a tangible difference in audible quality from the 70 to the 90 in my room. And I've heard other people say the same thing that have bought it or and made similar upgrades. So are we placebo? Are we like self-fulfilling prophecy to some extent? Maybe there's some element of that, but I think there was a difference. Just the same as when I went from my older Marantz, like 7700 model, to the AVM 70. First time that I played audio, like I was like, wow, this is impactfully better. This is impactfully better. I was actually just talking to somebody as well, um, that made a similar upgrade, Marantz to Anthem, and an older Marantz to a AVM 70, and they said the same thing as we were talking about it. I'm like, I hear you. I think I heard the same difference in my space. Um, so whether it's worth it to you, the 90 being as expensive as it is, of course, is another thing. So Paul saying looking more into moving to Anthem. Keep reading. They have long delays. Hmm. So I don't really use CEC. I did use CEC a little bit in here when using. allowing the Apple TV. I actually need to go back to turning CEC on, come to think of it. Because if I am in here and if I don't have my Halo with me, I want to be able to use the Siri remote, and I want to be able to have this control the volume in the room correctly. To do that, I need to use CEC. Right now I have CEC disabled. I probably will turn it on only for volume control again. The reason I turned it off is because for a long while there, I was using the Zone 2 feature of the AVM 70 or the 90 as well. I think I did it for both units for a while. And I was using my one kaleidoscope in both this room and the living room with the Zone 2 output capability and stuff. And if you're going to do multi-zone, I would not turn on CEC. It's generally recommended to disable because CEC gets really confused about what it may be controlling and the zone differences and stuff like that. But it worked fine. When I did have it on prior to doing the Zone 2 stuff, it worked fine. I intend to turn it back on. But I don't rely on CEC anywhere in my systems. A lot of people complain about it. The times that I've needed to use it, it worked okay. And yeah, it is what it is. I have not had any long delays when switching inputs on Anthem equipment. So, and I've switched between Apple TV Kaleidoscope and gaming consoles for quite a while on both the 70 and the 90 with at various times, Blu-ray players, other things. Over the years that I've had Anthem equipment, I've had a lot of stuff hooked up to it. I don't know if they really mean when switching inputs or if that means sync time as well, but that's usually a little more related to the most long syncs are more of the video chain than the audio chain, unless you have a trim off or something like that. From my prior experience, I don't know if it's gotten better. Trim off takes a long time to get to make audio audible when after a signal changes or whatever like that. But I absolutely would not consider either of those elements to be a reason to avoid Anthem when uh, yeah, when the rest of the like the audio quality is so good and especially Arc Genesis is just absolutely fantastic. Welcome, welcome Chittaput, welcome. Yeah, Terminator happily pay someone else to do an unappealing job. Yep. Yeah, if I was constant, I could get a great result. That's the other thing we get in with the yard work is like I talked to my wife. It's like, can we please hire this out? Please, please, please. I don't want to do it. Like, there's more stuff that you could be doing otherwise if you weren't spending these hours outside just doing all this stuff. And she's like, well, nobody's going to do it the way I want it done. So it's true. It can be true. Flatbridge, what part of the country are you located in? I'm Midwesterner, Southeast Michigan, like greater Detroit area. Chintapit tvOS beta 3 is delayed. Yeah, okay. I haven't bothered to look like at any release cadence or anything like that. Just kind of basically like taking them as they come. Terminator DAX could make an improvement. Be shocked the 90 use different, better processing. Yeah, I think probably like a lot of the software, there's got to be a lot of similarities, internal integral similarities between the 70, the 90, and the receivers, particularly the 1140. DAX are definitely different. But there's there's something in there that I and others think I heard, and even like some of my closer friends and stuff that have demoed this room on multiple occasions. As I've made certain changes, and then they come in and I play something for them, both video and audio. They've given me confirmations about like, yeah, this does sound like this sounds better, this looks better than the last time that I was here. And a lot of that sentiment was positively echoed in the 70 to 90 upgrade. Yeah, Julius saying no long delays in switching from my 70 at all. He doesn't use CEC. Yeah, I don't. That's not something I've ever experienced or even really heard on the Anthem. But I don't. I don't know. I don't participate. There's probably like I know there's a lot of like owners discussion on AVS forum for Anthem. I poke in there rarely, every once in a while. I haven't honestly in probably in quite a while. But that might be where maybe Paul, you're seeing like some comments and some stuff about Anthem behaviors and things, and that may be specific to like one or two persons specific setup, and they're having troubles for whatever reason, and they're the ones that are complaining about it. couple other questions here. Michael saying, "Do we see the F1 movie on K in 2025?" We'll see. Who knows what the digital distribution rates are, right? It's an Apple produced or funded project, but it still has some other studio support. Who made F1 movie? There's the IMDb listing. I thought, like, is this Warner or some? It's like somebody else was also behind this movie, like, because in terms of taking it to theaters, and that would be the mechanism by which we may get it on K. Yeah, F1 was produced by Apple Original Films in partnership with Warner Brothers for theatrical distribution. Theatrical distribution. So that's the AI overview. So if Warner, yeah, here, let's see what this one says. Somebody has to have the like digital distribution rights. Someone meaning a studio that would already have some alignment with Kaleidoscape to be able to bring it there. So this is looking like Formula One and Apple Original Films will be distributed in theaters and in IMAX by Warner Brothers. So I don't know, a couple of these statements are pretty clear that it's theatrical rights to Warner that may not be home viewing rights. I suspect that Apple will lock it up in Apple TV Plus. So, but who knows? Never say never. It could come. In terms of when, I don't know what the theatrical window of the movie may be. We'll see how it does as well. I think more often than not, it looks like to me how well something performs in its theatrical run is the determining factor of how quickly it arrives on Kaleidoscape, uh, and or whatever requisite streaming service. So if something's doing well in the theaters, it'll last longer there before it comes home. But if something isn't living up to expectations, then we'll get it faster. And so, a case in point, Thunderbolts. I figured Thunderbolts would be later. Terminator saying, "Can't wait to watch F1 in my theater." Yeah, I'll be watching Sinners tomorrow. Cool. Yeah, I haven't seen Sinners yet. I'm interested to see that movie though. It's hard for me to watch anything that's not a family, not a whole family activity though. And as cool as it is that we're now into like more mature stuff, certainly like PG-13 stuff, and that we're still a far cry away from more whatever R-rated, upper teen, late teen, young adult, or older young adult level of content fare. So let's see. Just looking through the comments here. Other questions. Welcome, Mohammed. Mohammed, hello there. Love your energy. Thank you. Is that a big difference to have one sub or two sub in home theater? It depends. So generally speaking, yes. The more subs, the better your response can potentially become in your room, depending on how any individual subwoofer is performing in any individual location of your room, right? If you happen to have a unicorn setup, and you could have awesome response in a room with one sub because of the way, maybe it's not subject to nulls and peaks and it's interacting with the room really well. Generally speaking, to get totally solid response and naturally make up for nulls and peaks, two is a great idea, and more can be better. It really just depends. If I take my room as an example, subwoofers in the front of my room, almost regardless of where they're located, along shifting them left and right along the front wall under the screen, tend to have pretty severe nulls in the mid bass regions, which affects like gunshots and like, punch impacts and like stuff like that, right? But the subs in my room, in the front of the room, go real deep. They can really dig deep strongly. So the lowest of the bass frequencies are reinforced really great in the front. Mid bass is not. In the back, it's the opposite. The back, interestingly, the subs tend to fall off more in the deep bass region, but they deliver all of that mid bass impact. So if I had two subs in here, as I've discovered over the years, my best bet is to make sure they're in opposite locations. So one in the front, one in the back, so that they're making up for each other's deficiencies, and the overall response is good. Four, even better, is then even some of the nuances of left to right and whatnot are further addressed. So that's really the thing there. It depends. Some pundits, or like some things you read, make you feel inferior if you don't have, like, 18 speakers and 4 subwoofers and all this stuff, but it really depends on the space, the room, the behavior, and stuff like that. So let's see, Flatbridge asking, do you have any guess when the Apple TV 5K 5K is coming out? I'm not sure what you mean by 5K. I think we'll see another 4K box. What'll be whatever generation it is, fourth generation, 4K fourth generation is what would be the new one. I think we could see that box this fall. There's rumors to support that as well. What it will do, who knows? Built-in camera. Could we see, like, powered up for gaming? Even a M1 chip version, the Apple TV Pro, like, gaming box, if they really want to get serious about Apple TV as some kind of a game console. Do we need a new box to do certain codecs and higher levels of audio and video fidelity? We'll see. So, but I think the next opportunity of anything coming from Apple will be in conjunction with the fall events that they'll do, which could possibly, well, September, whatever, will be the iPhone event, and then often that is followed up with like an October-ish event where we could see like other devices, right, iPads and Macs and stuff like that. Although Apple also seemed to really kind of take into like more discreet, smaller press announcements as well, with their pre-recorded videos and all that stuff. So, but I don't think we'll see product releases as we generally have historically from Apple. I don't think we'll see anything soon. It'll be fall, September, October. But there's a likelihood, or potential. Let's just say, I guess, potential. And then NVIDIA Shield versus Apple TV for a projector. So I don't know. My preference has always been to the Apple TV. I think the Shield has been a cool product. I think the Shield is like a tinkerer's heaven, right? Being a Google-based device that you can do a lot more with, right? You have different kinds of like direct access, root access, and other things. A lot more tweaking, side loading, and other things that you can do to kind of like power up your use cases for an NVIDIA Shield. I don't do any of that stuff. For the people that rip their own media and have been looking, have been like the big Plex server champions and all that stuff, NVIDIA Shield is probably a better box for sure. It can bitstream all the audio codecs and stuff, like the things that the Apple TV can't. But if you're not a DIY tuner tweaker and you're just looking for what I think is the best general app and streaming experience that's out there, I think it's the best box. If you have a proclivity, or you happen to use any Apple services and things, which I do, it ties into the ecosystem amazingly, of course. I have an iPhone, I have an iPad, I have a Mac. I subscribe to Apple One. I use Apple Podcasts. We subscribe to Apple Music. We use Apple Photo library management and capabilities. Aside from Kaleidoscape, iTunes, or the Apple TV app, right? Library is the place where I have, well, actually, probably where I still have my single biggest owned library of digital content. My Apple library is probably still bigger than my Kaleidoscape library at this point, even though I haven't technically been actively buying there. I use iCloud. I use Notes. I use Reminders. I use a lot of the built-in stuff. Most of the people that I'm communicating with is iMessage based. So I'm a big Apple ecosystem proponent, and in that situation, it's really a no-brainer how good the Apple TV is, in my opinion. Oh, let's see. Terminator saying, I remember having to wait a year and a half for Jurassic Park to VHS. Nowadays, 3 months seems like a long time for me to hit the market. Yeah, we're impatient nowadays. Impatient nowadays, right? Looks like some other stuff is either come or is coming quicker too. Speaking of Jurassic Park, I think the latest one uh, looked like it bombed pretty good in the commercial cinema run as well. So I think we're going to be that one's going to be available to watch at home. So yeah, and it's all about how I think the movies perform nowadays. Some other questions here, and we'll start winding down and wrap it up for today. Julius, why did you move away from the RAL subwoofers? What were they missing? I thought they were one of the top subwoofer brands. Why did I move away? I wanted like bigger, more impactful subwoofers. REL tops out. I think the biggest RELs historically have been like 15 inches. And even when I had got rid of mine, like they didn't necessarily have more of a home theater model. I think a lot of people viewed REL as more like a sub for integrating with towers, like for music purposes. Whatever that means, I guess, might not really mean anything in terms of how the subwoofer performs and what it's capable of doing. Just the way that it was kind of marketed and shown. I think REL has certainly in some models, maybe you're paying a little more for fit and finish and style and whatnot than like core performance. Um, and still paying a lot for that relative to like the value that you get out of other models. So when I was like stepping up the theater um experience and looking to get into bigger subs, it just wasn't a consideration to stick with that brand. In terms of them being one of the tops, I guess that's a matter of opinion. So depending on who you ask or what you value in a subwoofer and what application you're trying to use it for and what you're trying to get out of it could impact, I think, whether something would be truly considered a top brand or not. Yep, yep. Terminator got it. The best thing about having multiple subs is once you even out the bass response, you can play movies louder without even to worry about huge spikes. Yep, everything works together within the system, and you get the best performance you can get out of it. Michael's saying as well, I'm surprised, but I actually like the tvOS beta UI better than expected and really like the default audio output feature. It's huge for me in my house. Yeah, for anybody that was using an audio system where there was a wireless connection between the Apple TV and the speaker that it was sourcing, being able to lock that down as the default connection, I think is really, really worthwhile. So yeah. And again, I'm happy. I'm pleasantly surprised. I think the way this stuff looks with the liquid glass is a little cooler than I was anticipating, or a little more impactful than I was anticipating, I guess, um, in terms of actually looking nicer and enhancing the experience of using the devices. So we'll see how the whole thing unfolds. And of course, there's no semblance yet of the pass-through audio support and whatever that means. So that's getting to use question or comment here. Better have lossless audio support. So that if you're talking about the Apple TV versus the Shield or the Apple TV does have lossless audio support in certain ways. If you have an app like Infuse or whatever, playing a ripped piece of physical media, Dolby True HD and DTS Master Audio up to 7.1 channels can be decoded and output as lossless multi-channel PCM. So you're not losing quality. It's not bitstream audio support, but it is retaining the lossless bed layer audio support from those codecs. What you don't get is immersive audio codecs from the Apple TV right now. In order to do that, you have to bitstream. The Apple TV doesn't bitstream, and there's no way to decode and output and have Infuse managed and all of that for immersive audio and still maintain the lossless output. So that's the thing people really want. And TBD whether that's actually what we will get in any capacity with these OS 26 development features and releases and stuff coming up or not. So we're coming up on the hour here. Actually, I just heard my wife and son get home, get some dinner, get my other kid off to his, or same kid actually, off to his aerial gymnastics class. If you got any last questions, comments, please pop them up now. A couple other minor things that I've been thinking about. It's just announcements and some stuff coming up. to wrap up here, Amazon Prime Day starts tomorrow, so I think 8th through the end of the weekish. It's multi-days, Amazon Prime Days. Um, Amazon's not the only one putting stuff on sale, though. Everybody's got to compete with Amazon nowadays. So curious, if you're watching this later or whatnot, sound off in the comments. I'm curious, what are you buying? What are you shopping? What are you hoping to pick up in the Amazon Prime crazy online sale week? If you are doing any shopping online, please consider using my links. The links to Amazon and a variety of other stores and stuff are throughout all my content. In the channel info page, they're at techthusiasm.com, jeremypowell.com, techthusiasm.net. The webpage has links to all that stuff. And again, if you are shopping anything, consider, if it's something that I can source, please consider coming through me as well, not just the other online stores. I'm looking at a couple things, but they're not necessarily home theater stuff. I want to buy an inversion table. I think it would help with some of my lower back compression discomforts that I've been experiencing in the last couple months. So if I can snap up an inversion table and do some hanging upside down after I do my heavy lifts and my workouts, might pick up something like that. And then, yeah, maybe looking for some books and some other stuff, but in these sales to come. But we'll see what's what. Oh, there's one other thing that I wanted to mention. I actually just got this before. We may be talking about this coming up. Where was this? Nope, the other email. Yeah, Ubiquiti, introducing Unify Drive 3.0. And they are going at crazy speed for updates and features on the Ubiquiti NAS. And I have to say, I'm really considering, I already had been considering migrating away from Synology to Ubiquiti for the NAS to continue to unify my network equipment. But one of the things that was holding me back was I really like Synology Hybrid RAID, and I need to be able to sync online cloud accounts to the NAS. And it looks like they're starting to bring some of that stuff in. So like Unify Drive 3.0 talks about a simplified RAID setup, but it doesn't seem like they have an expandable RAID yet, or like a RAID using different size drives and putting it together into a single storage pool. I have to imagine that they're working on that. Flexible RAID groups, though. Fine-tune your setup for performance, protection, and storage efficiency without compromise. Storage pools for custom workloads. Expanded cloud storage options. Now supports Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive. That's awesome. Improved file management experience. So continuing to kind of look at that as I look to expand the Ubiquiti footprint. Synology is dropping new models too, though, which is interesting to see. I think some of the smaller NASs have started to come out, and but the bigger ones, I have a DS1821. I think the DS1825 is imminent. So I'm kind of curious to see what that may or may not do as well. But I'm also starting to feel like I don't need that much out of my NAS anymore as well. At one point, I thought like I'd use my NAS as like a home bridge, and I don't think I'm going to need to do that, particularly once I get Control4 X4 and it has native Apple support and integrations coming. And at one point, I thought I would like install like a Windows VM, Windows Virtual Machine on my Synology. That never worked, actually. Could never actually get a full bootable install to complete, despite following all the instructions, and it should be so simple. So I've kind of been just a little disappointed even in that. And I just decided, screw it. I'll just keep my Windows VM on my Mac directly. I have the space, I have the storage space to do it, and then it's with me. It's not just relegated on the network. No one in the house is using it, just me. So stay tuned on that. This is something that I've been watching from the initial launch of the Unify NAS to the couple of major versions already of their software. But this Unify Drive 3.0 looks pretty sweet. Otherwise, again, we got Audio Vice Live coming up in a couple weeks, early August. If you're going, hope to see you there. Should be a fun show. Excited to see what new stuff gets announced and all that. Love hanging out with folks, meeting everybody, meeting all the brand folks. Really, I go to that to talk more to people than I do actually to even listen to or experience equipment. Now, still debating what I'm going to do for Cedia, and I still have some other work to do down here. So I still have yet to put the UPS on this projector. I need to get that. And man, I thought I had a guy that was going to be in touch with me in early July to do the living room work, but I've messaged him now multiple times and not a single reply. Hopefully he's just on an extended vacation or something. Otherwise, I'll be looking for another start the search for another hopeful contract or referral or whatnot. Because God, man, I want to get these speakers in that room so bad. I am so tired now. 6 months of having, what is it, $20,000 plus of Utopia speakers sitting in the boxes in my storage room, rather than playing music and TV audio and movie audio and TV show audio into my ears. So, still working on those things. Um, as I mentioned, there'll be a video coming this week. I got to finish it up. My son edited it. I just got to finalize it and get it uploaded. That'll be the seat follow up. And then I did film a streaming bitrate update check-in. I actually looked back, and the last time I did streaming bitrates was also 2023. So it's been quite a while. Spoiler alert, if you're this deep into the live stream, there's really not much any difference in the fidelity, the bit rates, and so on of streaming today versus versus what it was when I last did the video. But that video will probably go next week, and then I think after that video posts, maybe we'll do a deeper discussion about streaming bit rates, and maybe we can even like take requests, or you want to see what a certain movie on a certain app, what the quality is. We can tinker around. I think that'd be a fun live stream topic. And I am hoping to get finally, it's been so long since he's been here. I just haven't been streaming regularly in a while. I want to get Sammy Prescott Jr. on a stream. We already talked a little bit about it. I'm like, Sammy, just pick a Monday, whatever Monday works for you at this time slot. I'd love to have you on still. I want to have him on, and I want him to talk about the video calibration that he did in the room here, which was back in October. So whatever, 9 months ago, but still super relevant. He has all the data. He did the job. I'd really like to do a deep dive on the video calibration side of things. So all that stuff is coming. Stay tuned. If you got requests, interest, content request, whatever, leave it in the comments. Let me know what you're looking to see. Got a couple more questions here I'm going to answer, and then we're going to call it up a podcast. Let's see. It looks like I got 4 questions here. Ryan Benson, how's the Anthem MDX16 been? Any bugs? It's been perfectly fine. No bugs that I really think I can consider. For all intents and purposes, we run 8 zones. We only probably use one of them regularly, our kitchen. The zones cover our kitchen, which is the one we use, the office that I work in quite regularly and I sit in a lot. Never use that zone. Never use the speakers in the ceiling. If I'm sitting at my computer, I'm just using the computer audio. I watch a lot of YouTube, listen to a lot of YouTube podcasts or whatever, kind of in the background while I'm doing stuff. It's silly to watch a talking head video on YouTube and have the sound coming from the ceiling. We have a zone on each of our porches, front and back. We use those sometimes. I'm really surprised, like when my wife is out in the yard gardening, that she doesn't turn music onto those zones, because she uses it so much in the kitchen, like kitchen dining, open concept area of the house. But we only really use the porch at like Halloween, passing out candy. We play spooky music. Not sure how much even more we use it from there. She's got a zone in her craft room. Got a zone in this like open basement area. Never use it. The Tonal has built-in music streaming, both their own radio, tonal radio, so to speak, and it pairs with Apple Music. So when I work out, I just let the Tonal play its music natively. Quieter than the coach's voice anyway. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one zone upstairs in one of the bedrooms, never gets used. And then the other zone was in this room, which was meant to be the home gym to begin with, but it's the theater. I never used the speakers in this zone. We have so much like dead speaker zone in our house that we never use. So the MDX16 is great. Being able to arc calibrate zones is a definite improvement to the quality of the playback in those zones. I did that testing even all the way back to my original video talking about it. If I had to do it again, just because I'm so high on the Ubiquiti train, I'm sitting pretty on the Ubiquiti bandwagon. They have their distributed audio amp. I would consider looking at that, especially if you don't have a lot of zones. But the MDX16 also does some really cool stuff. Like it has subwoofer support, right? It has a lot of different bridging and zone connectivity options. So depending on how complex your multi-zone audio setup is, you may find a lot of value in an MDX16. If you have any questions about it, or again, if you want a referral, Audiovice has it. Crutchfield sells Anthem. If you're picking one up, please go through my through my connections, or if you want, I can put you in touch with somebody at Audiovice as well. All right. Third to last question. Julius, how's the Zotac 5090? Fantastic. So per the video kind of said everything I had to say about it. Card, I think I hit the silicon lottery strong on the Zotac. Performance is great. Power consumption actually seems pretty good for the beast of a card that it is. Noise, temps, everything's great, and that's sitting in the upright vertical orientation in the case as well. So it's been a couple weeks since we've actually played any video games, my son and I. We were pretty deep there from a couple of weeks ago. There was one weekend where we got a pretty good run on Spider-Man 2. And then a couple weekends ago, we had the our Grand Haven, our Grand Haven like long weekend soccer tournament getaway. And then this past weekend, we were just running, always with people and doing stuff. So we haven't played any. That PC hasn't been turned on in a couple of weeks, basically. But we'll get back to Spider-Man, hopefully. I'd like to have Spider-Man beat maybe by the end of summer. Would be a good target. And then we'll see what we play next. Ryan as well, just put in an entire Ubiquiti system. Yeah, I love the Ubiquiti stuff. Like, it's so cool. Well, definitely, I'll put it on my list. Like to kind of like showcase live. We can poke around. I can show my camera feeds and stuff like that. Some of the features and options and stuff that's available. It's great as a system and all the different things that they offer. Like at this point, I'm just fully standardized on Ubiquiti. So if Ubiquiti makes it, almost kind of like Apple, whatever, call me I'm a little bit of a brand sucker, but I love the consistency of having so many things sourced from the same place and all working together so well. It's just great. So if it's a network type of device and Ubiquiti makes it, I will now going forward always consider their option first. Doesn't mean I'll just buy it blindly or I'll just blindly support it if it really doesn't perform what I need it to do. But I'll always look first. And like I said, I'm considering the NAS swap. The NAS swap out of Synology over to the Ubiquiti NAS, and maybe even the distributed audio zones. Again, if I was realistic, I could hook up maybe 4 zones of audio and leave the other 4 disabled, and it wouldn't even matter to anybody using the system. But we'll see. Right. Last question. Solomon Monomore, any Kaleidoscape prices going? Are Kaleidoscape prices going up soon? So I would not be able to divulge any future price and knowledge that I may have as a dealer that has not already been publicly communicated. That said, I don't expect anything can happen, but I guess maybe the better way to say it is they already did, right? Beginning of June, Kaleidoscape raised prices on most of the line. All of the Terra servers went up somewhere between, what is it, 500 and a couple $1,000. The price of the Strato V and the Strato C players both went up. Price of some of the accessories and stuff actually did go up as well. So it would be disappointing, maybe put it that way, if a company raised prices and then a month later, ish, or even within a couple of months raised prices again. So hopefully we're stable here for a while where we are. But yeah, they went up like June-ish, June 1st, I think it might have actually been, if I recall correctly. So it makes the Strata Wii one of the best value play to get into a player, to get into the ecosystem, and to add like players to your setup. So $3,000 now for the Strato E. That did not change in price, nor did the M, because they were so recently announced. Of course, if you're interested, let me know. Reach out. Happy to chat. And yeah, help anybody with their needs, particularly with Kaleidoscape. All right, we're at actually an hour 15. I got to run. I appreciate everybody coming out. Again, if there's anything that I can do for you, you want to talk offline, talk about your needs. You're looking to pick anything up, particularly in this week of online binge buying that's going to happen all over the place. Please reach out, Jeremy at techthusiasm.net. You can also go to, excuse me, you can also go to any of the web pages or the single web page, techthusiasm.com. Now will take you there. Contact form is there, my brand listing, all that stuff. I'm still working on some more things too. Some more brands and items that I want to really become a specialist in, really kind of corner the technical social media market with useful content, hopefully like I have with MadVR and Kaleidoscape and stuff like that, and then also be able to offer those up directly and whatnot with that experience and that knowledge and all that. So always working, always thinking of kind of what's next and building this whole thing up. I appreciate everybody being a part of it, contributing, engaging, and whatnot. Thanks so much for coming out. Again, fun hanging out with everybody. We'll be back next week. Best case scenario, maybe Sammy will be here. We'll talk video calibration. If not, that doesn't happen specifically next week, we will. We'll fill the time with some cool topics, no matter what. So come on back in a week. Look for the other videos, usually now on Thursdays. Thanks for coming out. Come on back for more home theater discussion and fun. Have a good one.